I've decided what I'm doing for my next big build project. The problem is, it is going to take forever to gather the supplies. In fact, I have entire farms that I need to put together to get enough of the supplies to make the next project, which I'm not going to tell you guys about yet. With the resources I gather and the farms that I build today, I'm going to be very curious if you guys have any ideas on what type of a thing I'm going to be doing. So feel free to leave your guesses in the comments below. I highly doubt any of you come close to what the real guess is. First up, I need a bunch of black stone, and there just so happens to be a bastion in the nether that is full of black stone. Instead of going all about the nether to try and find natural sources, I think it might be a fun extra challenge to take down a bastion. That way, we can get any of the resources from the bastion and get the actual blocks in the bastion all at the same time. I headed to the nether with some supplies to re-establish where the bastion was, set up a path, and just get ready for what was going to be a huge project. But as I did so, I didn't even get near the bastion before I fell in a pit of lava. I wasn't recording. Obviously, I was just heading to the place where I was going to record. A hole opened up beneath my feet and I fell down into the lava and lost everything. I can't even remember the last time I died in this game. I'm not playing hardcore and I died a bunch early on, but I haven't died in so many days. I can't remember my last death. Well, there's no time to cry about it. We've got to gear back up to get back on track for the episode. So I stopped, I got new armor and new weapons and new blah, 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 all the new things. Then I decided it would be a good idea to brew up some fire resistance potions. I really was planning on doing this anyhow. Again, I hadn't even gotten to the point where I was starting the project. I was just getting to the bastion to make sure I knew where it was and set some things down so I could get it. Wow, okay. I'm done. I told you I'm done. We're moving forward. I lost an entire day of progress just gearing back up again, and it made me think, you know what? I probably need a better XP farm. I have been using trading with the villagers and the zombie farm for everything for XP so far. I can't go to the end and do an ender, which is the plan. That's what I want to do for really good fast XP, but I can't get to the end yet, so that's definitely not on the dockets, at least for some time. While I was sitting over here at the zombie farm, I was thinking it might be good to have a skeleton farm. I know where a couple of skeleton spawners are, I just haven't created them yet. For the most part, it's going to be the same amount of XP. The difference is I will get the bones. The bones become bone meal and bone blocks, and I really need a good source of bone meal to keep a lot of the other farms going. I'm going to need a lot of bone meal to get the blocks I need for the next project. Since it's one of the tasks on my list, I thought maybe instead of trying to get the best XP farm up and going, I would just get a more productive one up and going. I'm going to the bottom of my strip mine because I want to show you the spawner I've decided to go with. Just a short distance down one of the tunnels I started, I ran into a bunch of odd noise and dug up into a combination spawner with a skeleton and spider. I actually do need both of these farms in my world. I've already got the zombie farm put together, but these are the two that I need. Even though I'm mostly going for bones, I think having both of them put together on one farm would be very convenient. I've made several skeleton farms and several spider farms in the past. The problem is I've never made one that's a combination of these two before because they're actually kind of different. So I have no idea how to do this. That's okay. My goal is to try and figure it out. So I'm going to light up some of the caves around the area, dig this thing out, and see if I can't figure out how to make both work in one farm at the same time. I finished putting together the mechanism of this thing. You can see in there, they're still lit up, but that is where the spawners are on the other side. Here's the thing. The spiders like to go to the top, so I may have to go through this little spot and then the skeletons down here, but I don't want them to see the face of the I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I think I may put something on the side so I can get the spiders from here without the skeletons seeing me. It is a little bit overcomplicated, I admit. Well, it's quite fumbly. It is technically working, but I'm not sure how well it's working. I'll go ahead and use it now and again and see if I can't make some corrections or adjustments to it some way or another. Now, with the spiders here, you can see skeletons definitely have a chance to hit me from way back there, and then they end up kind of killing themselves. It's a very strange farm. I've changed things up a ton, as you can probably tell. I'm actually on another side of the entire structure because it was just too far away for both spawners to be active. The way that it works now, you come in and there's a place for the skeletons to drop off the edge before collecting the loot, and then when you go on top, there's a little window that opens up to all of the bad guys. The big problem with this particular farm is that they can see me. Well, at least this is open. They can see me, which means they shoot each other. The skeletons try to hurt each other. And what I've discovered is that as long as I put these down when I'm AFK, both of the spawners are active. And then when I need to, I can come down to the bottom, get the skeletons that have dropped down to the bottom and out of the water flow, which is very helpful. There's room for quite a few of them, of course, in there. And I get drops from both of the things and a lot of experience, just probably because there's two spawners going. Here's how the final version is working. I stand at this top little pedestal. Both of the spawners are active. As they filter down in, I've lifted a space up so the spiders crawl up and out of the way of the skeletons. That makes it easier for the skeletons to get pushed down into the bottom, where I can then go down after taking care of the spiders and deal with them later. If the spiders climb all the way up the wall inside of the chamber, which they have a tendency to do, then they go up into a little space that's filled with water, which then they will slowly suffocate and they'll fall or die. The combination of the two in kind of this really strange orientation, it's working. I'm really proud of myself. I figured out how to do both of the spawners at once and get both of them to work. This was really tricky and very satisfying. I've been AFK now for about 5 minutes. Let's see how much experience I get. I earned just over 2 experience points in less than 5 minutes time. That may not be the best results ever, but it's better than I was doing before, and I have so many resources now, which we will need for a step in the future. With my consistent new bone supply, I am going to turn it all into bone meal and come in here. This is my moss machine and I love it. The diagram, the tutorial I used for it is so good because it's fast and really easy to use. All you have to do is pop bone meal into the thing. So of course, having the supply of it, I think you see why I needed not just XP, but a good supply of bones. And then all you have to do is flip the switch and hang out until it's ready to pick up. I stepped away to make myself a chicken salad sandwich for lunch and came back to a chest all full of goodies. I am going to take this moss. We're going to use a lot of it on the project and I'll put the rest of it in the storage system. I've been procrastinating long enough. It is time to take down this bastion. I've got all the gear that I need put together and potions and whatnot, and I'm going to keep track of how long this takes me and all the resources that come from it. It should be interesting to see. That bastion was taller, wider, deeper, and just altogether bigger than I thought it was going to be. And my final count, it took 7.5 hours to take the whole thing down. Or at least I thought it was the whole thing. I see 2 floating blocks above my shoulder. Okay, ignore those. Now, check out everything I got. This little cubby in the wall is where I've been keeping everything that I've gotten from the bastion so far. The top chest is the miscellaneous stuff. This is everything that wasn't a straightforward block, like the stairs or the cool things like the gilded. This is very cool block. I love gilded blackstone. And as it happens, the gilded blackstone is one of the 2 blocks that I was really looking for from the bastion, which is part of why we had to take a whole bastion down. After that are all the straightforward blocks. So down from the side here, you can see I have the polished blackstone, the cracked blackstone, regular blackstone, and diorite. And the number of chests off to the side is how many chests I needed to hold it all, so you can kind of get a good feel as to how much I got of everything. I'm not going to need a ton of the bricks, at least for the upcoming project, but I do need some of the really beautiful plain blackstone. So I'm going to take a bunch of that as well. Over here on the other side, the bottom chest has everything I picked up from a treasure chest within the bastion. And as a big shout out, there are 2 items. I have the smithing template, which of course I really needed to upgrade to netherite. And then I also got the snout banner. All in all, it was a long 7.5 hours, but time well spent. Next up on the list is a really simple item because I already have an entire wool farm. So I am going to grab myself a bunch of green wool as well as quite a few stacks of the lime. I'm also going to grab several stacks of gray and probably an entire row of black. I'll just take these to the project area. I don't need as much of the yellow and the orange, but I'm gonna grab a couple stacks of each of those while I'm here, and then I'm just gonna pop back over to the project area with my pocket full of wool. This one was easy. I popped into my honey farm over here just to pick up a few stacks of honeycomb blocks. The item that I'm really missing right now are slime to make into slime blocks in particular. And I've been down here in the caves before when I've run into some slime. I put some wood down in the chunk that I sort of thought one slime popped up, but I don't know for sure. I have a lot of extra netherrack, so I'm going to use it to block off a couple spaces where I think the slime are most likely to be and see if we can't trap one inside that has spawned so I know for sure that we have a slime chunk. I'll come back and check on this area from time to time and see if we've gotten lucky. Otherwise, I'm gonna go over and check out the other spot. I'm in an adjoining cave right now. It's pretty close by, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm pretty sure I've seen the slime spawn in this area. I know that I've seen slime. In fact, I've seen 4 or 5 here and in the other cave. So they're coming from somewhere, but I think this is where one was. So I'm gonna do the same thing like before and block it off so I can try and trap one. Now I'm just gonna spend some time lighting up the caves nearby and pop back in from time to time to check on these 2 different areas and see if we found any slime inside of them. I've been caving for a long time now, and I even just stood the right amount of spaces away from one of these a couple times just to see, and I haven't had any other slime spawn, not inside or outside of the border that I created, which is very disappointing. I still need to find slime, so I think I'm going to move forward to a website that I know will tell you a little bit about where a slime chunk can be, because I am not digging out an entire slime chunk just to be wrong about which one it is. I don't even remember the name of the website because it's not the type of thing I use very often, but my other option is just to grid the entire cave system and stand and wait. That's just not an efficient way to create a video. According to the chunk base website I just pulled up, this is not a slime chunk, which might be part of why I was having a hard time making slime appear in it. But there was a slime chunk in the diagonal spot right here. I suppose that makes sense. This is still below 30, but there are not very many spots where a full-size slime could spawn in this chunk, which makes me nervous. So I'm definitely going to test this theory and dig it out a little bit before we move forward. Hello, little guy. Where did you come from? I just checked on Chunk Base and it shows that this is also a chunk for slimes on the opposite side of the cave. So I might as well partition it off too. This is getting really old. I've been working at it for a couple of... There's a slime! There's a slime! There's a slime! Okay, we've officially verified a slime chunk. Of the 3 spots, this is probably the one I wanted least, but I also want one that's verified. I want to know for sure that it's real. You are real. Okay, well, I guess that means I can start digging. And you guys have already seen me do a pretty big dig project for this episode, so I'm just gonna whip it out lickety-split. It's been a couple of days in real life, but as you can see, I've been super busy and my slime chunk is cleared all the way up to the top. Look at this hole, you guys. It took forever to actually make this into a slime farm. The first thing I'm going to do is put down a bunch of rails, and then I'll put a layer on top of that for the slimes to spawn on. The hopper minecart is set on its way. It'll just keep going and it'll collect anything on the layer above it and push it into the chests down here so I can get all the slime drops. Next is just a simple layer of stone, 1 layer above the rail. I've made cubby holes on all 4 sides of the room where I've put golems in, and then the golems are going to attract the slimes over to their section. The magma cubes have been added all around the side, particularly in front of the golems, because when the slimes go near the golems, they will break apart and eventually drop the slime so they can be picked up below. The walls are still super ugly, but that's okay. I'm gonna go through and fix them now that the farm is in place. I figured I would decorate once it was already working so that I could hopefully get some slime drops in place at the same time. I also plan to add 2 or 3 more layers to this slime farm before I consider it complete. According to Chunk Base, there are slime chunks in a couple very nearby areas. So I'm going through with moss carpet and I'm just putting this down as a layer to keep anything from spawning so that I don't have slime spawning outside of the farm. As you can see, it's already working just in the time I've been down here making the slime farm. I'm also super glad that it's right below my iron farm. You see, if I need iron or slime, if I AFK, I'll get supplies of both. I'm headed over to town where I have the villagers set up for trading. There are a few things I need over here for my project next week. Specifically, I'm looking for a bunch of terracotta and glass. There's a lot of different colors of terracotta and several different colors of glass that I'm adding into my collection for the project. So what do you think? Have any of you guessed what I'm working on for next week? Because it's going to be super awesome. I'm really excited and I don't think any of you guys are going to guess. But thank you for being here today. Now that I'm all prepared, I can start building. I hope you all have the best Minecraft day.